The night she said it, I had just come home with blood on my shirt. It wasn't mine. That almost made it worse. She was at the sink, rinsing the same chipped plate for the third time. Not because it was dirty. Because her hands were shaking, and she didn't want me to see. I dropped my backpack on the floor and sat down. The room smelled like burnt rice and broken pride. "They were laughing at you again?" she asked quietly. I nodded. "They pushed Miguel. Called me a janitor's son. So I pushed back." She didn't ask what happened next. Didn't ask if anyone was hurt. Just turned off the faucet. Then turned to me. Her eyes were tired. But her voice? Steel? "Next time, walk away." I scoffed. "So they can spit on us and walk free?" That's when she said it. "You don't owe anyone your dignity. You protect it." That's the difference. I hated her for that. In that moment, I truly did. Because I thought she was weak. Because I thought keeping your head down was the same as losing it. 12 years later, I sat across a courtroom, watching one of those same boys beg a judge for mercy. And it finally hit me. What she meant that night in the kitchen. When I was a kid, I used to think we were just in between. Like someday we'd magically level up, get a new fridge, new car, maybe even a house where the ceiling didn't leak when it rained. But when your mom cleans houses for a living, and your dad disappears after the second eviction, you learn real quick. There's no in-between. There's just before and after. Before the humiliation. After the fight. Before you snap. After you regret it. At school, the line between poor and disgusting was paper thin. And kids like me, we fell straight through it. My uniform never fit right. My sneakers squeaked. I never bought lunch. I brought leftovers in Tupperware that smelled like garlic. But it wasn't until sophomore year that they really came for me. It started with whispers. Then Snickers. Then videos. They recorded me mopping a classroom floor during detention. Captioned it, "Little Jose following in mommy's footsteps." The video went viral. Not like millions viral. Just enough that it reached the school group chats. Enough to kill me inside. The leader of it all? Cameron Dale. Blonde, perfect smile. His dad owned half the rental properties in our town, including ours. He once joked, "I literally own your kitchen. Careful what you say or I'll raise your rent." People laughed. Even the teachers pretended not to hear, because Cameron had that kind of money, that kind of insulation. But what nobody knew was that I started planning something that night. Not revenge. Not a fight. Just escape. I started waking up at 4 a.m. to work construction with my uncle. Saved every penny. Stopped going out. Stopped replying to texts. For 3 years, I lived like a ghost, while Cameron lived like a king. And then graduation came. He got into NYU. I didn't even apply, because I had a different plan. I went quiet. Dead quiet. Built my own car detailing business. Then a cleaning company. Then I hired 2 friends. Then 10. Then 30. By the time I was 26, I was cleaning more than just houses. I was cleaning corporate offices, law firms, real estate companies, including Cameron Dale's dad's office building. And that's where I saw him again. 12 years after the kitchen. Only this time he wasn't laughing. He was pale, sweating, panicked, because he had just been caught stealing from his father's company. And the cleaning crew, my crew, had found the evidence, right where he thought no one would ever look. The shred bin. He tried to pay me off, begged me not to hand it over. "You're not like them," he said. "You know what it's like to be crushed." I looked him in the eyes, then handed the envelope to his father, because my mother was right. I didn't owe him my dignity. I had spent 12 years protecting it. When the news broke, it wasn't quiet. It was everywhere. Real estate heir, Cameron Dale accused of $2.1 million internal theft. But what they didn't say, what none of the headlines said, was who found the evidence, or how. I didn't care. I didn't need the spotlight. Because I remember that kitchen, that dripping faucet. That night, my mother's hands were red from scrubbing someone else's stove, and she still found time to rub mine when I came home from school shaking. "You don't win by shouting," she whispered. "You win by outlasting." And now here I was, outlasting. After Cameron's arrest, something strange happened. His father, Arthur Dale, asked to meet me, personally, at the company's downtown office, 32nd floor. It was the same office I used to vacuum. Now I walked in wearing a pressed navy suit. No clipboard. No gloves. He was already waiting. Gray hair slicked back. Rolex that cost more than my car. A face like someone who thought time owed him a favor. "Mr. Morales," he said. "Please, sit." I did. Calm, quiet, exactly like my mother taught me. "I want to thank you for your discretion," he said. "Most men in your position might have gone to the press, tried to monetize the scandal. You didn't." I didn't say anything. "Because I wasn't done listening." He leaned forward. "There's a property I want to offer you. On Pine and Jefferson. You'd manage it, of course. But long-term, there's potential for equity." It hit me then. He didn't call this meeting to thank me. He called it to contain me. This wasn't generosity. It was hush money tied in a leather ribbon, a way to keep the poor kid who knew too much from talking too loud. And for a moment, I almost said yes, because it was everything I had dreamed of. Until I remembered her hands. Cracked, rough, rinsing that plate over and over. "You don't owe anyone your dignity." I stood, smiled politely. "Mr. Dale," I said, "I'm not looking to be anyone's kept quiet little savior. I came here to return something your son dropped." I placed the empty envelope on his desk. The one with his company's logo. He opened it, confused. It was empty. "I've already reported everything to the SEC," I said, then walked out. 3 months later, I received a letter in the mail. Typed, no return address, just one line. "You never had power. You had protection." Until now, no signature. But I knew who it was from. Cameron. Funny how power works. Back in high school, he had it in the halls. In the teachers. In the lunchroom whispers. But that was never power. That was borrowed confidence. Protection. From his name, his dad, his money. And when all that was gone, he had nothing. Not even friends to testify in his defense. Because the people who fear you will never love you. And when fear runs out, so do they. By contrast, I was surrounded. At my mother's funeral, yes. She passed a year before all this. The entire block came. Old tenants, clients, kids she used to feed from her own fridge. We couldn't even fit everyone in the church. And all I could think standing over her grave was, "You won, Ma, you really won." Because she didn't need to scream to be remembered. Didn't need revenge to make a mark. She just needed to live, with integrity no one could ever take. That was her kind of justice. And mine. But Cameron wasn't done. Because a month later, he did something none of us expected. The letter was just the beginning. A quiet warning. And I was too proud, too dignified to take it seriously. Until the audit started. One by one, my business permits were flagged for irregularities. Then the bank called. My line of credit was suspended. Then, an anonymous review bomb campaign hit my company overnight. Hundreds of one-star reviews with the same phrases. Unsanitary. Scammer. Lied about employee wages. Lies, all of it. But the damage? Real. Immediate. Clients paused contracts. One even emailed, "Sorry, Jose. You've always been great, but our board doesn't want the heat. Hope you understand." And just like that, 12 years of back-breaking work started crumbling because Cameron Dale might have lost his name, but he still had his Rolodex. I stayed quiet for a while. Just like Mom taught me. Waited, but then someone slashed the tires on my delivery van and wrote traitor on the windshield in red paint. That's when I stopped waiting and started watching. I knew someone who could help. Miguel. Yeah, that Miguel. The one who got pushed in the hallway all those years ago. He ran a digital security firm now. Did forensic work. Deep web tracking. I offered to pay. He refused. "Cameron ruined our lives for laughs, bro," he said. "Now it's our turn to ruin his... with facts." Within a week, Miguel had a trail. Fake accounts. Proxy servers. Shell emails. All tied to a consulting agency Cameron quietly started under someone else's name, specializing in online reputation management and competitive disruption. In other words, sabotage for hire. And the cherry on top? The company was illegally siphoning data from clients. Data Miguel traced straight to a senator's campaign staff. One news leak, and the whole house of cards would fall. But that's when the real moral dilemma kicked in. Because I had proof. Cold, brutal, concrete. And I had two options. Option A, burn it all. Go public, watch him sink. No mercy. Option B, leverage it quietly. Get my business back. Trade war for peace. I asked myself what my mother would have done. I even sat in the kitchen again, just like that night. Same tile, same flickering bulb. But then I remembered something. She once told me, Some people survive a fire just to become the smoke in someone else's lungs. She wasn't just warning me about broken people. She was warning me about becoming one. So I chose a third option, one even Cameron couldn't predict. I sent him an email. Just one sentence. We both know you're out of matches, but I'm the one holding water. No threats. No demands. 3 days later, the reviews disappeared. The audits vanished. Clients returned. And I kept the evidence. But I didn't destroy him. Because some victories don't need fireworks. They just need to leave the other guy choking on the smoke of his own fire. But just when I thought it was over, I got a message. Anonymous. With a video attachment. It was security camera footage from my company's downtown office. And it showed someone unlocking the back door at 3:16 a.m., wearing gloves, face covered. But the way he moved and the way he turned to avoid the camera, it was him. It was Cameron. And I knew what was coming next. The break-in didn't make the news. It was too clean. Too quiet, but the message he left behind wasn't. Spray painted across my office wall in red letters were the words, "Everyone has a price." He took nothing. Just destroyed my computers, trashed the filing cabinets, and left that sentence like a signature. I didn't even call the cops, because I knew how this would play out. He had connections, money left in dark corners, a lawyer for every accusation. But what he didn't know was that the footage didn't just go to me. Miguel had set up cloud backups, and one copy had already been sent to a journalist we trusted, the same one who'd been digging into campaign, finance corruption, linked to his fake consulting firm. So I did what my mother would have done. I didn't explode. I didn't post it online. I waited. Watched. And 3 weeks later, the headline dropped like a hammer. Former real estate heir implicated in data fraud, illegal political donations, and corporate sabotage. Cameron Dale was done. Not just sued. Not just disgraced. Arrested. No bail. RICO charges. He wasn't a rich bully anymore. He was a federal target. The day after his arrest, I visited my mother's grave. Not with flowers, but with a copy of the front page, folded neatly, placed under her name. "You were right," I whispered. "You don't owe anyone your dignity. You defend it. You carry it. And one day, it carries you back." I stood there in silence, then pulled out the small tin she used to keep in her drawer, the one labeled "For Jose's Future." She'd saved every penny, every tip, every stray dollar, and never told me. I added something inside. A key to the new community center I built in her name. Free tutoring, hot meals, legal aid for immigrant families. Because Cameron used his inheritance to silence people, I used my pain to amplify them. There's one more thing I never told anyone. Something about that night in the kitchen, the one that stayed with me. After she said that line, "You don't owe anyone your dignity," she did something small. She touched my chin, lifted it, and said, "Your silence is not surrender, Mexico. It's the sound of your storm. Getting ready." It took me 12 years to understand that. But now I live by it. Because I've learned, some people fight with fists, others fight with fire. But the ones who truly win, they fight with patience, purpose, and the kind of power that can't be bought, only earned. And when it's finally time, they don't knock. They walk in through the door someone tried to lock and build a home right there. For themselves. For their mothers. For everyone who was ever told to sit down and stay quiet. I'm not quiet anymore.
But I'm still calm.
Because I don't need noise to prove I survived. I am the proof.